Good evening, ladies and gentlemen out there in YouTube land. I am Deleted Scenes, and welcome to my review of Madam Web. Already in the chat, friend of the channel, Everest Productions. Faithful Blue Wrench, the Bird Woman of YouTube, Connie Clary. Friend of the channel, The View with Drew. Joining us from the future, Shashi. Last night, I watched Madam Web. I will not talk about it. All right. Thank you all for being here. Everyone in the chat, everyone who watches the replay, and everybody currently joining us on Twitter. I can't see you, but I know that you're there. All right. Much has been said about the, as I'm referring to it, the non-review of this film by Chris Stuckman. Now, in less than an hour from now, on Unscripted, I'm going to be talking about that. And I am going to be talking about my feelings on the state of film criticism in general. But I felt that I could not, in all fairness, have that conversation unless I had seen this movie first. So last night I had the opportunity, a couple of hours, to sit down, and I gave Madam Web its day in court. I forgot about all of the reviews that I had heard and decided to formulate my own opinion based on my own observations of the movie. And hello to Jedi Bill. Bill and I just finished a live stream that I think everybody who is currently on YouTube needs to see. So check that out later tonight. Also joining us in the chat, host of Films with Friends, the creator of the 10-word review, Big Al Presents. So as I said, I sat down last night and I watched Madam Web, and I gave it my due diligence. I watched it straight through. And yes, I do have some opinions. I have some pros and I have some cons. I do want to start off with this. I think that Adam Scott playing Ben Parker, he is the best part of the movie. I wanted to watch the movie that he was in, because I had an idea it was a good movie. I liked his performance. I thought he was funny. I thought he came off naturalistic. He actually seemed like he wanted to be there. Now, he was obviously held back by certain constraints. Not any fault of his. It's the way the character is written and some constraints that were around how the character had to be written. And I'm going to get to that. later on in my review. Now, I have to tell you the other thing that I liked about the movie, and again, she's gotten some criticism. It hasn't been directed at her, but at the way her character is depicted. I also thought Sydney Sweeney was very good. Because the reason why they quote unquote covered her up is the idea is that she's playing the ugly duckling type character. Now, whether or not that character is depicted that way in the comics or not, I don't know. I'm willing to bet probably not. But I liked her arc because it was kind of like as the movie is progressing, she is slowly coming out of her shell. And there have been people who have asked, is dressing her the way they dressed, making her up the way they have her made up, was it meant to be like that's her Clark Kent disguise? I think that's what they were trying to do. And I think that's what they were trying to do. It just, like so much in the movie, it wasn't written very well. So as far as I'm concerned, the bright spots are Adam Scott and Sydney Sweeney, the future Mrs. Big Al. So it would seem. And good luck to you, sir, because that girl would give me a heart attack. On the other hand, I can think of worse ways to go. Now, that's kind of it as far as the pros are concerned. Now I'm going to have to get into the cons. And the main issue is this. This movie is not written very well. The dialogue in this movie comes off very stilted, wooden, ham-fisted, repetitive. When other critics have said this movie feels like it was written by AI, that is what it feels like. It feels like this was written by AI. It's very CW level. It's very mid. A lot of the acting is not very good. But I don't know if any actor could have saved this material because there's not a whole lot there. It's very one note. The action scenes are very boring. And hello to Lady Mist. And that's kind of a problem with the movie in general, is it's boring. It's not a long movie. It's sans credits, it's an hour and 48 minutes, which is not long. All right. This was a movie that easily could have been 2.5 hours for no reason. But I'm glad it wasn't. They kept it to a reasonable time. but it still feels long. Now, most of the actors they're okay. Like I said, I don't think they could have saved this material. There are two performances that are, in my opinion, bad, just straight up bad. And I gotta tell you, folks, straight up, I don't think Dakota Johnson's very good in this movie. But like I said, I don't know if she could have saved it in any way. It's just that, she is the quote unquote lead hero of this movie. She comes off kind of annoying. She comes off like she doesn't want to be there. She comes off like she's bored. It's not a good performance. It's not a lead level performance. Now, I liked her in Bad Times at the El Royale. But again, she's not the lead. It's an ensemble piece. And I think she's better off when she plays a supporting character. Now, my other issue in the acting department is Tahar Rahim, the actor who plays the quote unquote villain, Ezekiel Sims. Now, again, I must explain that I know nothing of the Ezekiel Sims character. I do not know what he's like in the comics. But I think I know enough to know that the way that this character is depicted in this film is not correct. It is another bad acting performance. It does not help that all of his dialogue was clearly ADR'd later on. And you can tell. The dialogue is not matching his lip movements. They are obviously being said in a sound booth and not on location. The dialogue itself is repetitive. It smacks of, and I'm not just talking about his dialogue, I'm talking about the movie itself. This plays like the story changed in the editing room. Now, the one thing about this movie that Chris Stuckman was willing to say in his video was that it felt like there was studio interference in the making of this film. And I don't doubt that. The film that we got was not the film they went in making, and it is obvious. Changes were made in the editing room. And this movie is edited together by a pack of squirrels on crack. And I don't know who the sound editor on this movie was, but the sound editor needs to be shot in both knees and set on fire, because that's how bad the sound editing and the dialogue editing on this movie is. This should not have been allowed in a professionally studio-made film. The script should have been thrown away. You go back and you find someone who can actually write the damn thing correctly and give you a good story. There's a germ of a good movie here. And they didn't make it. These people thought that we are so stupid that we were just going to eat this garbage up and said, yes, may I have more? And I am telling you, as the movie-going public who spends hard-earned money to go to the theaters to see this, you deserve better than this. You deserve movies that are better written. Not movies that are written by AI or people who write like they're AI. You edit these movies better than the people who are being paid to edit them. Acting, I have seen community theater productions better acted than this movie. With the exception of Adam Scott and Sydney Sweeney, if I see no one else from this movie in anything ever again, I will be happy. Now, much has been said about the director, S.J. Clarkson, and that she is better off with the television content that she's made. Good, stick to that. How could you put your name on this? Or maybe you were just a director for hire. I don't know. This was shoddy. It is shabby. Who is this made for? I don't know. Michael French, Retro Blasting, he has a video out right now where he tries to answer that question. And I don't want this to come off like it's piling on. This movie is just not good, guys. It's not. Those of us who have seen it were kind of stuck with it. All right. And as I said, because of the subject matter of my unscripted episode tonight, I felt I needed to see this movie to understand fully what I was going to be talking about. and I'm going to go more into it on the show. But folks, don't go see this. Do not bother. Not even on streaming. Don't bother. This is a standalone Sony Spider-Verse movie. Now, that's another problem. And a reason why I think this movie should not have been made. This number one, this movie was made to retain the rights to the characters that are in the film, and Madam Web especially. There are certain references that this movie dances around because they can't directly refer to certain characters. You understand that Mary Parker is pregnant and gives birth to Peter Parker during the course of this movie. They can't say that it's Peter Parker because they don't have the rights to that name. They can't have Ben bring up that he's dating May. They don't own Aunt May as a character. There are a lot of references to Spider-Man that this movie needs, and they can't make it because of the rights issue. There are things that don't make sense. Why is she so angry at her? Why does she have these abandonment issues over her mother? Her mother died. It's not like she had a choice. She didn't abandon you by choice. Why are you hating on your mother? How does a woman wanted for multiple kidnapping and multiple assaults on police officers get to fly to Peru and back without any kind of legal ramifications? And how come all of these legal issues that pile up are just suddenly gone by the end of the movie? There are no cops in this movie. I mean, there are. They're there to get their asses kicked, and then they kind of disappear. There are a lot of things in this movie that don't make sense. And you're just expected to just forget about it, because this movie is Jangling Keys, the movie. You have this Ezekiel Sims character who is evil, who murders Madam Web's mother to get this spider. And he keeps speechifying to people, that I came from nothing, and I'm not going to have what I have taken away from me. These three girls, because he keeps having this vision, that the three spider teens are going to come and kill him sometime down the line. Excuse me. Now, we don't know what he has. We don't know what it is that he's trying to hang on to. We learn nothing about the character. We don't know what his backstory was previous to his killing the mother. So it's like, okay, you're trying to hang on to whatever empire you think you have, but you got it through ill-gotten gains. Now, do these three girls have a reason to kill you in the future? No, because they are not connected to you until you brought them onto the scene. Two wrongs don't make a right, folks. The villain in this movie is not good at being a villain. The heroes in this, the quote unquote heroes in this movie, they're not good at being heroes. Everybody is incompetent. And they hack on each other and they do all of this ADR speechifying where they just say the same inane things over and over and over and over again with no explanation to any of it. Sound familiar? Indy 5. Indy 5. Anyway. Yeah, this movie's bad, folks. Don't go see it. Not even on streaming. Don't. And this is not me piling on. I tried to find as many things as I could to like about the movie. There are a couple of performances that I do think are decent. Past that, it's just not a very well made movie. It's not very well written. I would suggest it's not written at all. It is obvious that there was studio meddling. The poor film and sound editing reflects that. It doesn't come off like a professional movie. Now, one thing that's in the win column is this doesn't come off. It didn't come off to me anyway as a girl boss movie. It doesn't come off that way at all. The only thing, and this might not necessarily have been the intention of the filmmakers, it does come off like they're trying to they're trying to take away the specialness of Spider-Man by having all of these various spider people show up. You know, Ezekiel Sims has powers. Madam Web has powers. The rest of them don't. Now, there's one possible future where they may, but anybody who thinks they're going to see, a bunch of spider women on, on the screen, they're in costume for maybe literally a minute in the visions that Ezekiel Sims has throughout the film. That's the only time you see anybody in any kind of a uniform or show off that they have any powers. Maybe 1 minute of screen time. That's it. This movie is a pass. Don't bother. The critics are not piling on. They're telling you the truth. Now, there are people who have mildly enjoyed this movie. I can see why you did. But in the end, what I liked about it was not enough to warrant even seeing this on streaming. And I wouldn't be surprised if I was talking about this again at the end of the year for a certain top 10, for a certain bottom 10 list I'm going to be doing. Yeah, this movie's bad. I'm sorry, folks. It's what it is. And when it comes to these Sony Spider-Verse movies, I think I'm done. Those of you looking forward to Kraven the Hunter or Venom 3, which I think we're getting both of those this year, I'm not looking forward to it. Sorry. I do not want to ignore the chat. Sashi says, I doubt anyone could have saved this thing. Yeah, me either. Even though, like I said, I think Adam Scott does try to save it. I think Sydney Sweeney is good for what they gave her to do, but yeah, you're right. The squirrel population refuses to claim this garbage. I wouldn't blame them. I've seen enough clips to know this one ain't for me. Yeah, they thought women were going to flock to this movie, but the numbers are saying that's not the case. Why do they make this garbage? They make it, Bill, because they think there's an audience for it, and the audience is not there. And like I said, go back and reference Retro Blasting's video. It's called Madam Web and the Missing Audience. So, good look. Getting paid to suck in the industry has a different meaning, but in all essence, this being a bad one amplifies the interest in the other releases. It's a bumper film, yeah. You think this was made as an FU to the rights owners if rejected? Yeah, I do. I honestly do. This was a rights retention film, period. That way about most humanity, LOL. So it's got to be bad. Thank you for watching this review. Possible. Save us all from terrible disappointment. Yeah, it's a disappointing film. You know, I went in with an open mind. I gave it its due diligence. This is my honest assessment. And, I wish I could tell you that everybody was wrong. But sadly, they're not. review of Madam Web. Please stay tuned. 20 minutes from now will be tonight's episode of Unscripted. I want to thank everybody who joined in the chat. Lady V, Lady Mist, Connie Cleary, Jedi Bill, Big Al Presents, The View with Drew, Shashi, Everest Productions, everyone who is watching on Twitter. I can't see you, but I know that you're there. From HQ, good night. Take care. Stay strong, because this is how we win.